Okay, so this video is going to teach you how to do these fraction problems. And is when you have all three fractions, and the goal is to try to get the denominators to all be the same. So that's where we're going to look first. We're going to look at the 4, the 5, and the 20. And what we would like is we would like them to all be the same. So if you think about what would be a common denominator, how could I turn a 4 and 5, 20 all into be the same number? I would all want them to be a 20. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, now that I figured that out, I'm going to multiply this first fraction, which is a 1/4. I look at the bottom, which is 4, and I think to myself, what would I multiply 4 by to turn it into a 20? And so if I multiply by 5, 5 times 4 would give me 20. So I'm going to multiply this first fraction by 5. So what happens is, now whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do the top. So when I multiply 5 times 1, I end up with a 5, and 5 times 4, I end up with 20. Now the middle one, I'm going to look at here, and I have a 5 in the denominator. So similarly, if I multiplied 5 by 4, I could turn that into a 20. But whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So 4 times 4 is 16. So I have 16x over 5 times 4 is our 20. And lastly, I am not going to multiply anything to the other side because it is already a denominator of 20. So once I have that done, then it's easy, because now, because all my denominators are the same and it's an equality, that means that the top has to be the same. So what I can do is I can kind of ignore the denominators and focus on just the top. So now I'm just solving this problem. 5 plus 16x equals 11. And we should know how to solve that. So the first step is, I want to get x by itself. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And then 11 minus 5 is 6. Okay, then I want to get the x by itself again. So it's 16 times. The opposite of times is division, which means I'm going to divide. And so when I divide, I get x equals 6 over 16. Now, you can leave things as a fraction as long as you reduce it. So they're both even, so I know I can reduce them. I can divide both of them by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. So I could leave it as 3/8, or if it's up to your teacher, you could enter it as 0.375, which is the decimal. When you're doing Math Excel, just make sure you look at that blue underlining hint to see if they want it as a reduced fraction, or they'll say simplified fraction, or if they want it as a decimal. In class, we'll take either, but Math Excel is pretty picky. Okay, let's try one more. So this time we have a new denominator to look at. So now again, I'm looking at 2, 16, and 8, and my goal is to get them to all be the same. So what would that be? And I'm hoping that you notice I could turn them all into a 16. So what I'm going to do again is look at my first fraction. The bottom number is a 2. 2 times what would give me to 16? 2 times 8. So since I need to multiply the bottom by 8, I'm going to multiply the top by 8. So 8 times n is 8n over 8 times 2 is 16. Now, I don't have to do anything to the middle, so I'm just going to rewrite it. Minus 2n over 16. And then equals. Now I got to figure out this last part, 3/8. So I look at the 8 on the bottom. How can I turn 8 into 16? I would need to multiply it by 2. So I'm going to multiply the top by 2 as well. 3 times 2 is 6. 8 times 2 is 16. Now, all my denominators are the same. So now, because it's an equal sign, if the denominators are the same, that means the numerators, the top has to be the same. So I can kind of ignore the denominators, and I can just solve this equation. Okay? And this one isn't so bad to solve. Notice in here I can combine like terms because they're both n's. So 8n minus 2n happens to be 6n. And then if you divide, you get n equals 1. Okay, hopefully you have a better understanding of solving with fractions.